So the first thing you do is you remove all these little push pins with a little removal tool. Get underneath of there, pry the little top piece up so far, then pry the bottom piece up. And as you see, this is what they look like. So this piece slides in and out. You just pry it up a little bit and then pull the whole plug up. So now that we have removed all the pins, we can push this out of the way. And this top radiator cover should just pop and slide right out of place, just like this. And we'll just move that aside. And that'll give us access to take the grill off. We also are going to need to pop these two side panels out because there are going to be a couple of bolts around here that also hold the grill on. So I'll just pull on that a little bit. There should be a couple of clips. Right here and pop. There we go. These clips right here. Pretty easy. You don't have to worry about breaking anything. Everything here is pretty solid. But this pulls aside so you can get to those. We'll do the same thing here on the other side. Wiggle it a little bit. Should pop loose. All right, so next we need to take all these bolts out. So we'll just start here with the top ones. And these are 10 millimeters, by the way. Could be an 8. And it is, so just do that. And actually we had to pop this off of there anyway just to be able to get the grill out because that other one attaches to it. So I'll reach back in and try to grab this so it doesn't fall. Gives that to me. So now I've got this bolt. So there we go. All right, so that gets that out of the way again, just like the other side. And we'll just put our socket in here and take out the other socket. This one now, and I believe that is all of them. Let me just see here. Yeah, so now the grill is loose. I should be able to lift right up on it. I want to make sure that I don't have anything connected to it first. So there's a couple of plugs right here on top that I want to release. One is for probably the camera. Another one's going to be for the lights. Another one could be for the cruise control or something, depending on where it is, but either way you still want to make sure those are removed so that you can cleanly take this grill off. Lift up on it. I've got everything removed. Looks like I've got one more pin here on the other side I need to get off of there. On this little liner. All right, so now we've got that loose. We should be able to lift up on this thing finally. There we go. And take it loose. Just got caught there for a second. And I think I know what happened there. This actually happens quite a bit, believe it or not. The threads come out from the back side instead of the front side. But we'll just improvise, I guess. There's that, and then if we flip it this way, there's actually a couple pins here we need to pull up and release as well. So we'll get this trim removal tool again, and I'm going to pull up on these. They should pop out of there, hopefully. Angle right here. Here we go. So there's one, just like that. Just put this aside. There's another one. Get underneath of there. Get a good grip on it. Pull that one up. Got another one here. Again, it's all about getting a good angle on it here. Pull that one out, and then we've got the fourth and last one here. Get under there. That. Now, this underneath part here is just plastic. It's not visible. Again, the radiator cover covers that. You'll never see it. So you really don't have to worry about scratching anything under here. It's not going to be a big deal. And now what we've got to do is we've got to remove the back shutters, which is the back side of the grill here. These shutters open and close for cooling or keeping or retaining temperature for the engine. We need to remove this back side and then attach our light bar to the grill, and then we can reattach the back side and install everything back in. Kind of screws down on the plastic. You don't really like to screw. Let's reverse. And what you might do is take a socket like this, turn it while you're trying to pry up on it from the underside. You can even do it in between, just to give it a little bit of pressure as it turns. Separate the sector, and we get it off of there. So that might be the best way to do it, since you're just basically screwed down on the plastic, and you're going to need to put them back on. So you really don't want to tear this up. So give it a little tension here, so that it's turning and it's actually working its way off without just breaking the plastic completely off. There we go, just unscrew, and then we've got our pieces here. So now, if we've done everything correctly, this should separate. So let's see. Now we might have to fidget with these a little bit, depending on if they're still stuck. And it looks like we've actually missed one more. We've got one more bolt right here in the middle. And that looks like it's the smaller 1/4 inch size. So let's go ahead and get that out of there. I think that's it. Once we're done with this, we should be good to go. Just off of there. Should just lift right off. There we go. All right, now we've got a wire here somewhere, up right here. That should pop to the side. Fix that. Push that through. This other side here. This is one of the wires we released when we took the grill out, and it just snaps in here just to retain it in place while you try to plug the plugs back in. So just need to work these little clips out so that we can get that out without breaking them, because again, you need to reinstall it, so if you break it, kind of stuck. You got to buy new parts. And nobody really wants to do that. So, I'll work your way out here. Try not to break it. All right, so we got that. So move that out of the way. See if we can lift this off now. Got one more. This will slide to the side, it looks like. All right, got one more here on the bottom. So yeah, you've got all kinds of stuff here to disconnect, obviously. This looks like a sensor for air temperature. So we'll press the release on that. Oops. And that should slide loose. So now we have separated the back side of the grill from the front side of the grill. And this is what I was talking about with these bolts here. For some reason, these studs are screwed into the plastic, and they like to unscrew rather than the metal. But that's not a big deal. Again, once you get it off, you can work on just taking those off, and you can screw them back in the plastic. Now that we've got this separated, from here is where we would install our light bar. And in this case, I've got another grill that we did that in. The other grill, because that's what I used to develop it rather than taking it off and on and off and on and off and on a truck. So when you're installing this, it's going to be the same principle. You just won't have to take the camera off and put it on another grill. You basically will just attach your light bar to this, just like in the next section that you'll see as far as the light bar installation portion goes, and put everything back together, and you're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other grill. Again, you just pretend that it's the same grill, and we should be good to go. All right, so we've got our hardware here, and I've got the grill, and I have the 40-inch light bar here. And I've laid this blanket down so that both the floor doesn't get scratched and the grill doesn't get scratched. And then here's the hardware that I was talking about here earlier. So what I want to do is there is one of these inserts for each side, and you'll notice that one side is sloped just a little bit more than the other. And what we want to do is on the smaller side, that's going to go this direction. All right, so now we're ready to attach the end bracket. So the first thing I want to do is get my two black elevator bolts, and I want to slide those through here. You'll see they fit right into that square slot there on the end. So I want to slide both of them through there. And they've got some room here, as you can see, to maneuver, so you can get a perfect fit. But these have to go on first, because when you attach this bracket to the light bar, you can't change that out. So you'll slide this on, right here on the end. You'll slide it all the way down. Again, we got a little room here to maneuver these if we need to. And then you've got your washer here that goes on the end, and then you've got your lock nut. So we're going to start that on here like this, and then I'm going to take my wrench, and I am going to tighten that up so that this is all the way tight. Fit now. All right, so you'll notice this is snug to this. This sits flush to the light bar. And that's the key to getting this bar to sit as flush to the grill as possible. So now this is flush to that. We've still got a little bit of maneuverability room here if we need to push these to get those to line up with the holes in the insert. So now we'll do the other side the same way. So again, we'll take our cap off here on the end. I just used one of these bolts here to give me something to pull it out with. So again, we're going to save our cap, and we can actually go ahead and put that on this end since this is done. And that gives us that nice cover. All right, so we'll do the same thing with this end. I'm going to take the one washer off. It's got a rubber washer here. I'm going to get my other bracket. I'm going to peel the back off of it. I'm going to slide my 2 elevator bolts through, just like this. And now, I'm going to slide this on the end, just like the other side. Again, I've got room here to maneuver these if I need to, and I'm going to need to whenever they go in there, which is the key. This gives us just a little bit of playroom. So now I'll put the other 1/4 inch lock nut here on the end, and we will tighten it down, just like we did the other side. And we should have a nice fit. And we do. This is nice and tight. Still have a little bit of playroom to move these. They're nice and tight, but still have a little bit of playroom. That's what we need. So now that we're ready to put this light bar on, the writing is here on the top, so we want to make that our top. You'll notice the plug-in here goes on this side. So our actual slot is the first full honeycomb piece. And the reason being is because the camera goes right here. So you don't want to cover up that camera. And when I test fitted this, I made sure that this does not block the camera at all. So you're good there. So you got this in the slot. We do this one more time. Again, you want to get this through the hole here so that, because otherwise it's going to cover that up and you won't be able to get the plug through. So now we should have a slit in there. Go to the other side, slide it right in those holes, just like that. Now since we've got a little bit of adjustment, I want to make sure that this is even on both sides first. All right, so you can just eyeball it. Looking at that, looking at this. You know, that's almost perfect. I'll move it just a tiny bit this direction, but I think it's pretty much dead on. You can see this sits nice and flush to this. It's a really clean look. So now I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm just going to hold this in place because I don't want to let it fall out because there's really nothing attached to it yet. So I'm going to turn this upside down. And now I'm going to get our other hardware here. And if this pushes through a little bit, we just push back the other end again. But when you tighten this up, that's going to take care of that. So first I'm going to put our back plate on, just like this. And then I'm going to get our washers. And I'm going to take the washers here. I use the bigger washers, I kind of like those. And you know what, I'm not going to use these. They actually have locking nuts. So we're just going to use the locking nylon nuts again. I don't need locking washers. I might take a little bit in there anyway. So I'm going to start those. Now I'm just going to take my socket here, tighten that down. It's going to draw everything in nice and tight. Same thing over here. Tighten it up. Hold everything in nice and tight. Nub to the I'll put it back side here. Gets into that nylon and it keeps those nuts from ever vibrating loose. So that's a nice firm fit. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Put it on the back here. There's a little nub right here on the back from the mold. I just have to trim that off. It looks like this one does have one right there. I'm just going to... Alright, so I'm going to just trim this little nub off here. Again, like I say, you'll never see it. It's really just left over from the mold. The grill is cast. But it just gets in the way of the piece from going on there flat. So to get rid of this little nub here, you can just take a little pair of pliers or something and just snap it off. that. You can trim it off with a razor blade. Again, the idea is you just want this to be flat so that you can, there we go, get a flat surface to bolt this plate to. And all that is just when they cast in the mold. So then we drop our plate on here, our two washers, just like the other side. Trim that a little bit since this bracket might be in the way. Put our two locking nuts on there. Just like that. I'm going to tighten this down just like I did the other side. And you're going to get it good and snug, because you don't want any vibration. You don't want it rubbing up against the grill or anything like that. Again, that foam gasket should help eliminate the bracket from actually making contact with the grill. But now, we're done. Just like that. This is Jack again. He's back for another visit. So we've got our we've got our grill all done here with the light bar attached. You can see this is nice and solid. All right, so now this is done. We've got our 40-inch light bar attached to our grill here. Make sure that it's nice and even on both sides. It's snug. I'm pushing on this pretty hard. It's not going anywhere. It's attached firmly to the grill. It's clean. It's not making any contact here. You probably got about a quarter, probably an eighth of an inch to a quarter of an inch maybe gap between the actual bar touching the grill. It's a perfect contour to it. Again, our brackets on both sides are sitting flush against the grill and flush against the light bar, so it's back as far as it can possibly be. It's clean, it's solid. Right now what we need to do is connect this end to the light itself. You should hear that click. And now we want to try to make sure that we run this so that it doesn't get caught up in anything, that we don't pinch the wires, and so that it doesn't get in the way of these active shutters. So what we're going to have to do is first lay this back side of the grill on top of here, start making the connections, and just kind of see how everything lays out. Perfect. I think that's how we want it. All right, so I've got one more connection here to make at the bottom. I didn't want to do that until I was done. But now, I think we're ready. Plug this in. This is for our temperature sensor here. So we got that plugged in. So all our connections should be made. You definitely want to make sure you plug everything back in, because you don't want to come back and have to disassemble it all after it's all done. We're going to have the one in the middle, and then we're going to have those push pins on top. All right, now, one thing to make sure of, that we clear this, again, we don't want this to rub against these active shutters. All right, so now we're ready to put our grill back in. We've got everything assembled, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that up and gently sit it in here. You want to be really careful not to scratch anything. One thing I didn't do here today, but one thing normally you would want to do, or that we usually like to do, is tape, like some masking tape along the bottom here. That way you're not rubbing against the metal or the paint. should snap in place. And just make sure everything is, again, snapped right in place. It should be good. And then we go to the other side and do the same thing. So now that we've done that, we should be able to put our bolts back on the top. Cover on again, just make sure this gets out of the way. The handle. This first. Looks like. All right, so now the wire there. There. This works the way I want it to, hopefully. Help to retain the actual wire itself. I think it's going to work. So, that being said, looks like that's going to be out of the way of our handle there. I just have to fidget with this a little bit to just kind of move this around. I think we're going to be all right. We'll start at one side, and we'll put our push pins in, and then we'll go to the next side as we go along. So what I have done, you see this, I've brought the wiring through underneath the grill area here. I took this loose here, so I can bring this under, and then reattach it. So that way it's out of the way, not touching anything. As you saw here on the back side, I pulled it through right behind the headlight. All right, so now we're going to refer to our Ford Raptor supplemental manual for our switch wire colors. I have noticed that 17, 18, and 19, Ford keeps changing these colors around. So you can't necessarily go by this particular guide. You want to pull out your own Raptor supplement guide and make sure that you're getting the right switch wire that you want to hook it up to. All right, so now when we make our connections, you're going to want to put your ground loop wire, you'll notice with your wire harness there, put that ground behind this bolt, which is directly behind the battery. See, there's your battery, there's your washer fluid, this is the tray for the battery. There's a bolt right here on the fender well. Just take that out, there's already something grounded there. Put that loop through there, that grounds that. And I've already got this nice and cleaned up here, but you'll notice your bunch of wires here, your bunch of wires for your switches right in here. When you select the wire color that you want to put your light bar on, you'll make that connection and you can loom it up here nice and neat and get it out of the way. One thing to note though, there are two sets of wires. They're the same colors. One is on one side and one is on the other side of your computer box. If you get the wrong set, you will not have any power. Then you'll know you have the wrong set. What those wires are for is they are just pass-through wires that go into the cabin, into the floorboard here on the passenger side, so that you can have power there. If you wanted to use those, you would connect the like color from one side to the other, and then that would give you power to the inside of the cabin. So if you accidentally select that bunch of wires first, and you make a connection and you have no power from your switches, you just have the wrong set of wires. So that is why you would not have power. All right, so here we are now. We're in the truck and we have made all our connections. We've installed the grill into the truck, and we look up here on the ceiling. Here are our auxiliary switches. Now, when I first turned that on, obviously I've got nothing because the ignition's not on. So you do need to turn the ignition on. So we're gonna push the button here, turn that on, and now I'm gonna flip that switch. I'm gonna turn off the radio here. So let's go ahead and flip that switch, and there is our light. So that is the installation of my custom patent pending installation kit for the 40-inch Luminix light bar.